to make sure there's
We
three
have
you
like
never
one
need
John for every like though.
It's to make sure you never need one.
We don't know how to use it, but we're named.
Yours is actually about as tall as you are. And a little.
I know, but you see all these wires, they're kind of like that. And so they're all resonant.
What is all that crap? You don't need all that crap.
Yes, you do.
Look at that ugly push button.
That's my push to talk.
We need to bring you into the 20th century.
20th century.
We're in actually the 21st century, but you know, you need an upgrade to get to the 20th.
Look, I'm
I've seen that same ugly push
I
button.
know, I could have spent 45 hours yanking apart a Bofang handheld mic and soldering all those things, which is a
It
great
takes
thing.
about 10 minutes.
Yeah, if you're still sitting there, but if you're me, as you say, a throwback from Leonardo da Vinci's days, it's going to take me a lot
Didn't you
longer.
used to be a teacher? Is that how you taught?
You start with a breadboard, then you work.
And he's still
You get work at first.
But this is a lot easier, though, because there's no.
Can I answer that with a statement? Bull pucky.
What are you going to do? You got to transmit.
Look at this crap. You were doing that 2 years ago. You know, you're supposed to elevate your skill set.
Look, this is a lot easier to use than flipping it back and flipping it down, flipping it back and flipping it down. Forgetting that you have it on and you're making all the people on the computer mad at you because you're transmitting, you don't know.
I buy that argument. Just look at it.
Well, when you're receiving it, you're not looking at what I'm sending it on. Right?
Trying to get your site really
Very intelligent.
I know, but I guess it kind of works. You know what I was really hoping for? I have some plastic boxes, and I was hoping to, and I have some software which I was designing the circuit board on.
You know, if we got you some foam, you can encapsulate it all in this big ball of foam. And it look good.
You would have to look at it.
Exactly.
Bring your
That's 40 seconds, actually.
Take
it little by little, take it by steps.
Didn't know it was going to get so thick. Alright. Rob, can you hear me?
Smart ass. That was uncalled for. Not an awesome. Did you ever take sensitivity training?
No, but you know I did. I took a sexual harassment course.
Alright, Rob, can you hear me?
You know, every year we had to as teachers, and
Rob,
they show these.
Did you learn how?
Well, they show you these, they show. So this is a lady, female at her company, and she has this.
He's not going to broadcast this.
Jump inside. And so the boss goes in the last couple of days of the provision. You know, why don't you come over to my house for dinner and I can show you some real flankers. I don't know if you're comfortable with that. Well, that puts us in relation of the probation in serious jeopardy. And then they go, is this harassment? Oh, way overboard.
You said the check,
We used to
right?
just crack up. No, I didn't. Was that good?
We had to do the replacement grocery.
Yeah, so I would have to stop. Restart it. In order to get your network numbers. So we want to yeah, you can stay on camera when you're here. You know what? I can hold. I think Angela is the problem is how you do to make the dog get hung up on that.
Sitting here, I would keep them all.
If I didn't already have them, I suspected that this was an improvement. It turns out
See, this is the thing, people don't realize when you work for the state or the county or the school district, you are a regular employee because there's a certain amount of students you have to take in your job and swallow every single day. Every single day.
Hey, take notes on everything, just, when it comes to that, just send me pictures, you know, before he was selling the MFJ, he would sell this, and he had another
Heart's still beating, Chris? Yeah. Good. Every 4 months, I run across somebody, and I explain, well, I've got, I have a class of 30, I've got about 17, the kids sometimes They don't come to school, but they're not even citizens. They're shocked.
50 cents.
Well, what do you want to do? Hang out at the Ford Mall? Give them free food? What do you expect at school? Yeah, it's just like they don't,
What a nice guy.
Yeah, he made more contacts than the rest of us put together.
He was banging them out.
He's a serious contester, that's why.
I know what it is. You're telling me somebody like Phil was a nice guy?
It's a W8JK. Made out of
Rob, you should be able to hear me.
I can hear you fine.
And what then?
That was 20, and then for 40, I put up an inverted V. SWR 1.084.
That's incredible. Did it have a range or was it within
Everything has a ring.
very small?
No, it come with a whole flurry of
Didn't get out.
I can go EVC.
I think everyone should have brought
And a coax connector, wire, and I put a current box down and that side of the T. Okay.
It's there for all year. See if I can double this.
Where did you got there? What's that? That is
Luke McCoy. Luke developed that.
Somebody can't make up his mind.
Remember that name?
Kind of like phase diagram.
Yeah, they're actually, phased 135 degrees apart.
Yeah, you twist it. Yeah, I did one for 40 meters at the top. Full size, 40 meters. Also did a 4-element log periodic for 40 meters at the top. We had a private parking lot with all the trees all around.
You put up a log periodic in the tree.
4-element, full size, 40 meter wire.
Is it still up or did the snow hit you?
It's now ground radios. that was a field day. We put that up in the field day.
And how did it perform?
Pretty good.
Oh,
Yeah. After that work, yeah.
was that this year?
Oh no, that's years ago.
Oh,
Years ago.
Sometimes it's funny, and you put all this time into certain things that don't work with a class, and then you think, oh man, this is junk. You get like a piece of code in it, and boom, it's like a exotic DX with a canvas. You can't understand it. It's just the way it works.
The antennas would work best when you don't have time to do it. You just throw them together.
Well, I know that's not the case, but it sometimes seems like it.
This was a 6-month project with an
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Putting it together, going to a parking lot, putting it together.
Getting the trees in the right place to
Yeah.
put all the elements too.
No, it was pretty ideal.
How broad a coverage, how many bands did you get out of this?
It had dual rivet elements,
Right,
killer
right.
stuff. Yeah, it was wide enough with a little bit of a tuner to it. It was 40 meters.
Just 40.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, wow, yeah.
What lot is coming back to you?
Oh, it was about 100. So with that kind of gauge, like around a full gallon easily.
You don't need three because it's about
I mean, you have it pointing this.
it doesn't make.
Well, that little 2 elements about 4.5 feet, about 3 times.
Last night, just like these little radiation clouds would line up for like 10 seconds, Poland, Cuba, which is not allowed on YouTube, but and Britain.
They've been around a very, very, very long time. The old railroad.
And as it increases, it's going to become a lot more. You know, it's not just going to keep rated, it's not just rated every second and be done. You're supposed to have a belt. If you cut how you gonna buy a cockroach, somebody drives over to your house, pulls your antenna out. Not really. They just put a pin through your phone. Oh, that'd be
That's very neat.
Yeah.
They have their own name.
So, Bob's got his own show going on over there. Looks like he's having his own meeting.
He's zooming away.
Yes, he's on meeting when he's doing
Zooming
it.
away in his own meeting. So, I'm not sure if I should. Hey, Rob, are you going to join us at our meeting, or are you going to just conduct your own?
We're listening, go ahead.
Over.
So, all right. Well, first off, thanks for coming in, everybody. It's good to be back in here, other than back at 1,000 degrees. Anybody have a pen on you? I actually have I made the new. I don't need it this way, but I'm going to pass the sheet. Yeah. The sign in. So I'll tell you what I'll do here. Let's add John. John, what's your on Zoom? What's your call sign? Okay. All right, and I can see that we've got Kevin here on Zoom, and then looks like Neil is on Zoom, and I don't think he's on my list yet. I think this list is too old. It's from before he joined. 7/6. Right? And Rob, of course, is and Chris, are you here? All right. Can you speak up a little bit and let's read?
Yeah, I'm here.
There you go. Now let's read the notes from.
Yeah, I kicked you, my phone.
Yeah. Go ahead and read the notes from our last meeting that we had.
Last week, I had to check in or short. And 5 sessions on the air, we have 44 check-ins. 8 online. What how we did. So last month we talked about Tuesday, and some of the main topics, and I don't remember what else.
That's pretty good so far.
Yeah, 50 years ago. We met at Mike's place.
Yeah, we met at my place last month in person.
RTL.
So I saw that,
It was pretty new back then.
I saw that Rob was at the YOLO Club for field day. He got caught in some pictures with JoJo.
I told him not to see that picture.
Yeah, well, he did, and you got ratted out, so we know where you were this year, that's for sure.
Here, Simo.
Well, it was for about 3 hours.
Oh, is that all you put in there?
Just about an hour or two the night before, and an hour or two before they shut, or about the time JoJo showed up.
Okay.
They only had one CW operator, so they asked me to come down and help them out.
All right, so if you didn't hear that, he was saying that they asked him to come down to the YOLO Club because they only had one operator. So he was helping them out for a few hours, which is good. Sorry we missed you. So we did have a field day here at the church as we normally do. And we had a total of 28 people. 28 people came to visit us, and
That's pretty good.
or 28 included everybody. Yeah, 28 people. Is that what it was? 14 visitors. Okay. So of course Carol was there, so she was section manager. She counted for an extra 100 points, I believe. And then we had Ken Cooley, who's our assembly
makes the rounds.
Rancho. Yeah, well, he only goes about 2 or 3 places.
You went 4.
He got 4 this year. He may have. So Ken came out, and that's another 100 points, so that's real good. I believe that we had 5 youth. 4 of them were on the air that I know of. Maybe 5. I think it was 4 though. And yeah, 4 for sure. Chloe, who was 9, she was on the air, and she made probably about 20 contacts, which was good. And then Brendan, he's in the club. He's 14, even though he looks like he's about 19. And Brendan made probably about 20 or 25 contacts, I'd say. Yeah. And then we had 2 kids that were 14 and 17, and the 14-year-old, he was licensed, but he hadn't gotten his call sign yet. That was Rico, yeah. And his brother,
Rico and
Ruben, that's it, thank you. Yeah. So Rico and Ruben both operated. Rico, he needs to practice a little bit to say that. He wasn't as interested as his 17-year-old brother, who is not licensed at all. But he plays piano, so he was very good with his code. His fist was really nice. And yeah, his code sounded really clear. And he made a bunch of contacts. And the interesting thing about Ruben was, after sending CQ, W6SFM, K, and then answering back 1ASV, BT, he actually was able to recognize all of the letters that he had sent himself when he heard them back. So it was kind of interesting. I was listening to the radio when I was copying, and when someone would send their call and they had a Q or a C or a 1 or an A in their call, he would say, oh, okay, that was a C. Oh, there was a 1, there's an A. So it was pretty interesting that he was able to pick out, after like 15 minutes, he was already picking out all the letters that he was sending himself. So that's really good recall. It means that he's absorbing it like a sponge. So I talked to his mom who was there, and she's a linguist. She likes to learn new languages. And she said that she was interested in learning Morse code. So they may all come to class in September. I expect that I'll be teaching another class, probably mid-September. So if you know anybody who wants to take the class, or if you want to announce it at the N6NA meeting, I usually try to get over there and announce it. I just don't know if you guys are going to have a meeting or not in person. So if you don't, maybe you can bring it up on the CV channel.
There you go.
Well, I never remember what it's called. Yeah, so if you can bring it up on the repeater, that would be good. Maybe if you're doing the meetings that way. I think you have Zoom meetings, don't you?
We're still in Zoom.
Yeah.
Our meeting site is not opened up to the
Well,
public.
they haven't opened it. That's just government. So that makes sense.
What's that? It's not smart, it's a second.
Yeah, everybody calls it that.
Yeah.
It was about 20 years, 30 years ago.
Right. So, in any case, if you're not open and you're doing a Zoom, maybe I'll pop in the Zoom, but you announce it, that would be great. I guess, do you run that now?
And N6NA?
Yeah.
I have been, which will be.
Okay, yeah, so maybe we can make an announcement there. Because I do want to pull in some more people. I think I only have about 4 people on my waiting list right now. And I don't like to teach a class with 4 people because there's always one person that drops out. You know, now I'm down to 3. And then if he misses a night, one person misses a night, I'm down to 2. So it's,
Or you're more technical.
yeah, well, it's true, but it also has to be worth my time to come in and do it. You know, there's no pay involved with this, so call me theory. Yeah. Actually, we had somebody from Reading and Chico that drove down.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
And we had,
That's a long haul.
I know, they were driving, I think they left like around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And they-
Ready? Maybe about 3.5 hours.
Yeah. And then, you know, at the time we were running the dinners downstairs, I was cooking the dinners, so they were able to get a dinner. So that was worth it, you know, at least they could eat before the class. And then we had somebody from Grass Valley that was coming in. Yeah. So, and he's still a member of the club. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we've had a few people join the club who took the class, and that's always good. As long as they stay with it, you know, we want to have them use the code that they learn. That's always important. But normally this last class ends 2 weeks before field day, and then they would be somewhat ready to get out on the air on field day. That's the idea, because they're not going to work at our club, then at least they'll go work at their own club on CW. And unfortunately this year, field day fell in week 7. So yeah, it got a little late start because I had to make sure that everybody was cleared to come to the church. So once I got that worked out, then we started about 2 or 3 weeks late, I guess. So we're going into week 8 next week, and or did we do 8 last night?
I'm only thinking you.
Yeah, 8 was
Starts
last.
at 0.
No, it starts
Zero
week. No, week 1 is the first week.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be in week 9 when we go back. We're in week 8. We will start week 9 when we go back. Yeah. So last night we practiced QSOs where I was sending some Q and people were answering and getting the information RSP name, PPH, that sort of thing. And there's at least 4 people in the class I think that are doing really well, enough that they can copy the code and they should be on the air. So that's good. That's the goal anyway.
That's you, Wilson. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Wilson's ready for the year, and obviously everybody has to practice their PC when they're new, but I'm sure that'll come in the easier.
Do you give them homework to check in on our net?
That's not.
Good idea.
Well, no, they don't. Not to check in on the net, but
He hasn't given us our radios yet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, K4 is back order.
Good one.
They're back there, aren't quite shipping yet.
Of course, they want a free radio. There's a pallet up like that.
Did you order one, Bob?
They're coming February 31st.
What's that?
Mike ordered two.
Mike ordered two, did you?
February 31st they'll be here.
Yeah, so.
February 31st?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
But, yeah, I tell them about the on-air meeting and ask them to listen to it, but, they're not ready to check in on the meeting yet. Well, now they are, but they aren't until at least this week. And, but they have videos that I provide throughout the week, and they have homework that they're supposed to do, providing they read the email that I send it. But I'm finding this class is an interesting one. They don't seem to be reading their email like they're supposed to. Yeah, so.
Maybe
Well, that's a little different. I mean, these people have paid for a course. I mean, yeah, I'm not getting paid, but they paid for the fee, and they're taking the course. You would think that they would want to put in as much as they can into the course to get as much out as they can. What's that?
40 years old.
I've got Chloe, 10 now, and Brendan, he's in the class, he's 14. Oh, does he read it? Yeah, he actually read it with his dad, didn't he? So.
Only if it's on his phone.
Are you texting him?
And, everybody gets an email. So,
Well, if they checked in, it'd be friendly fire, so.
yeah,
They-
I heard Wilson out there after the net last week, so I guess he was shining away and checking it out.
It was just, things were moving too fast and I didn't think I could jump in there. I did CQ, Mike answered, I froze up like a deer in the headlights. That was
Well,
it.
everybody does.
They can't want to use a hand key instead of a button.
Yeah. Well, I can't ask people to do that. Listen, when I used to run the net, I would always say, please keep it under 15 words per minute. Everybody ignored it. And,
Some people consistently ignore.
yeah, which they consistently ignore. And I also sometimes would mention, maybe try to send a little cleaner on your bug so that the CW text decoder would decode.
Oh, that's.
Because a lot of the people at home aren't really seeing the text decoding for a lot of these guys. And, it's like people are saying, Roger, I'm hearing a lot of this, hit, God, hit, and it's like, oh, it's like a,
No, they're going to have to hear what's really going on in the air. That's what topic stand was. Somebody got it, somebody did.
yeah. So, but that's how it is with every class. There's always 2 or 3 people that do nothing for the whole class except for attend. And it's like I tell everybody, if you don't do the homework, then I guarantee that by the end of the class, if you show up to every single class, which is 10 classes, you'll know Morse code, but you won't be able to do anything with it. Maybe if you got stuck in a cave and you had long enough to think about, you can write something in the dirt and then look at it while you're sending it, banging on the wall of the cave. But, you're not going to have any conversation.
Right, it is in the dirt.
But then, with every class, I have at least 2 or 3 people who will be out at about 12 to 15 words a minute at the end of the class. And then the rest of them are going to be floating somewhere between 9 and 11 words a minute. That's pretty difficult. So, I do teach in a Farnsworth. It's 15 words per minute character. And then I try to start tightening space up right around week 5 just to get us more into realistic conversational stuff. So we cover a lot of things in the class. It's not just Morse code. We talk about DSP and RF gain, how to set up filters, that sort of thing, where to set your band pass to, where to set your your filters and your CW pits, that sort of thing. So in any case, so the class is going along swimmingly. We have 2 more weeks, and then after that we'll have a break until September, at which time I'll announce it again. I believe if you look on the homepage of the website, yes, we do have a website. It's www.W6SFM for those who have never been there. For those who have forgotten, we have it. So check that out, and you'll see on the front page it announces the September class already. I have no idea what the date is, and if I use the computer here, then it's going to start broadcasting that too. So it's like the 3rd week or 2nd week of September.
Probably, not the Labor Day.
Are you still putting out a newsletter?
Haven't even been getting it. That's crazy.
That must be in my spam filter.
Yeah, check the spam filter.
I do not, my check, Mike, does ham radio outlet know about your class?
No, probably not.
Class starts on 15th of September.
Nice to have a, a flyer.
Yeah, maybe I can ask if they can do that. That's actually a great idea. I hadn't even thought about it, but now that we have a ham radio store in Kent, we can actually see if they're willing to do any local advertising.
Yeah, I mean, do they carry things like, $12 keys and oscillators and
I
stuff?
don't think have anything that cheap, but they do have, the MFJ keys that just the key itself, I think, sells for $22. So they have items that you can use, but I provide the key and oscillator, so, but they do have Morse code items, for sure. They're a Vibroflex dealer as well. And now they're selling GHD too, if I'm not mistaken. So you can go and see if they have any of those that you can play around with, drink their coffee, and then leave it right on online.
Buy from you.
Buy from mine.
Well, no, I don't sell keys. So. Just as a note, I just wanted to let you know, this year we spent a little more money than we normally do on field day, because I figured, what, we have to both load money in the bank. We haven't done anything for, well, I won't say we haven't done anything for a year, because if you're not already aware, I had field day at my place last year, and we had the North American Cuso Party and the California Cuso Party at my place. So all 3 of those events we had and operating a station. So I don't know if you saw, but there are pictures on the website of the last event, which was obviously Field Day, and the one before that was January's North American Cuso Party. So if you haven't seen them, you can check out the photos page on our website. Yeah, we have a website. I know. So yeah, check that out, and you'll see who was there, and we were doing safe space with operators on the left and right sides of the table, so there was 6 feet between them. Not that it mattered, but we were trying to accommodate anybody who was concerned. And then we had a few guests at that event as well. Or actually, we had 2 guests at the field day event last year. I advertised it on the ARRL field day locator. And it was kind of funny because there was only 2 people in California, it looked like, and we were one of them. So it was pretty bare, and I was surprised when 2 people showed up to the field day at my house, which was fine. They actually enjoyed it, and I think one of them might join the club.
Did you camp outdoors at your place, or how did that work?
It was just this table set out in front of the garage, and
Overnight?
yeah, but I think that the last person left at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I said, I think I stayed on until about 3, and then I woke up at about 4, and then went back on the air. So I got about an hour's sleep, and then I came back out and operated. I pulled the table into the garage and shut the garage, so it worked out really well. Actually, that was kind of nice because when I wanted to go take a rest, I just pulled the table into the garage and went back out. But the North American Cuso Party contest, I think we only operate that one 12 hours, right? I think that's what we normally do, and that's what we did. We did a full, yeah, that's 12 hours. We've been opting to do, yeah, we've been opting to do 12-hour sprints instead of 24 hours for the California VSO. So, California VSO, that one we had at my place also, but that was last year, not this year. And then this year, the North American VSO party was in January, which always is. And I think we had about 6 or 8 people show up to that one. Again, there's pictures there, you can see them. And everybody stayed for the full 12 hours, which is good. But this field day, I don't know if the prices just went up because I don't feel like we did too much more. We did hamburgers and hot dogs. We did potato salad, which nobody really ate. And then we had chips there, and we had 2 types of soda. Instead of one, normally just do a diet soda this year. I said, you know what, let them have sugar. So I bought Coke and Diet Coke and water. So,
Pizzas, right?
oh yeah, that's right. And then for lunch we had pizzas. So
What about the eggs and the bacon?
oh, that's right. And we had breakfast the next morning.
I wasn't there, but I'm guessing you did.
Yeah, you know what I think it is no, usually Katie and Bill pick up the breakfast burritos in the morning, and I usually reimburse them. So I think it's just we got an extra case of soda. We got
We had donuts.
yeah, extra case of soda, the pizzas. But I think we had pizzas last year too, or not last year, the year before. But in any case, normally we're out at about $85. This year, it's still pretty reasonable considering the prices have gone up, I'm sure. But the total I have here is $160.29. So we doubled what we normally do. I mean, something like $30.
So we get extra gummy bears or what?
No gummy bears. Yeah, I'm looking to see what the extra, I see there was an extra $33 here. I'm trying to figure out what it's for.
Sugar tax.
Sugar tax, yeah. You want your soda with sugar? Hey. No, it was, let's see here. Yeah, we have burgers. Burgers are, that's where the money is. That meat price, I don't know what's going on. Is the cow get more expensive somehow? The burger price is almost double what it used to be. And,
I think you paid for it in Bitcoin.
yeah,
Yeah.
Bitcoin
Yeah.
or Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, yeah.
That's not difficult.
Um,
Right.
Right. Yeah, I think that's where the biggest expense is to that and soda. Soda's still only like $10 a box, so it's not bad. But yeah, according to my notes here, if anybody wants to examine it, the receipts are all here. It was $160.29. And I paid for that. I haven't reimbursed myself yet. That
Got a
was-
couple more here, so.
Oh, do you have receipts?
Yeah.
All right, John, still broken today. No field day next year. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, what do you have?
There's always been 6 in it.
Is that for donuts?
Yeah, donuts and gasoline.
Oh, and gasoline, that's right. So this year we were able to buy John a tank of gas.
Generator.
For the generator.
Usually use coffee.
Well, we had to kick it up a notch.
Yeah. So, all right. So John is.
It's Michael, burn up all that gas too.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know that we went through more than a gallon, but
Oh, that's over.
man,
A gallon.
how much did we?
I'll let you fill it next year.
No, what is how big is your container?
5 gallons, and I brought it with about a half a can. Took it home with about a half a can.
Really?
So it's right out about 5 gallons.
Right, I didn't think we used that much. I thought we were at about a gallon and a half. Am I wrong? Not wrong. No, I mean, if I am, I am. I just didn't realize it used that much.
Yeah, I filled it several times.
Yeah, no, I know you did, but. Oh, okay, so I'm completely wrong. How much does the tank hold, you know?
I don't know. Didn't pay attention. Just filled it up till it's full.
So, all right, okay, so we got another 22. We got another 22.50 on gasoline and then 23.25 on donuts, which is perfectly understandable. So I will get John paid off. You want me to PayPal you or cash?
That's right.
Okay. So I'm gonna PayPal John 46 bucks basically. So that'll be added to the 160 total, just so you know. All right. So unless there's anybody who wants to argue with John, that'll get done. So that's about business. Did this? Oh, did my background? Did everybody get a chance to sign their name on the roster? If you didn't see your name there, you just filled it in, I'm sure. Looks like everybody was on there though. And thank you whoever wrote in July, because I would have forgotten that.
I did.
Did you? Thank you.
Well done.
All right, so
Everything I could find.
let's see. Everything you've given me. It doesn't even look like the same color ink, was it?
Ben's got swapped or something.
Yeah.
Threw your curveball.
It's okay. It wasn't a club tip. Speaking of which, I ordered those embroidered hats for the club, the new embroidered hats. I don't know, I showed you a picture of them at the meeting last month, I think. It was either last month or the month before. And the embroidery people keep rejecting the design, saying the text is too small. So I keep modifying the design and I'm waiting to see which one that they'll finally make. And I've kept the circle logo, but now I'm down to W6SFM, Samuel F. Morse Amateur Radio Club. No more Sacramento, no more California. And then there's the picture of the Vail Key. And then below it, I couldn't even fit W6SFM, so I can only fit SFM. So I'm waiting to find out if they're going to make that hat or not. And it's literally been since I showed the first hat. Actually, it's been 3 weeks past the first time I showed the other hat. I've been going on this for almost 2 months now. So they're all the same. So if they don't accept this embroidery, and I've had it go through their design team too. The design team is supposed to be there to help you redesign it so that it looks good enough for the embroidery people to accept it. And it's been through 9 times with the design.
You need to learn to speak into these.
They're actually from Netherlands, but
That is a
but I've been trying. My languages are expanding by the day. But yeah, we've been through 9 different versions, and they still haven't put it through yet.
So their own design group can't get it right?
Nope, their own design group is designing things that the production won't accept. And I keep telling them, you need to tell me what it is that is not right, and I'll make the change accordingly. And this time, I just literally just evaporated all of the extra text and went with something that looks similar, but not as wordy. And I don't know. I haven't checked the order in the last 3 days, but I'll see if it's processing or not. And John ordered a hat. John 85 RX. He ordered a hat, and I held off on his hat because I was talking to him the other day. He told me that he was going to change his call signs to get a 6 call. So, yeah, I thought so too. I think we shamed him into it actually, because I was talking about it in the class, and 2 people now who have calls from other zones are applying to get their 6 calls now. So, yeah, Phil, you want to hit the light? I think we need lights in there now.
Dip it down.
Hey, now they can actually see you out there. So, Rob, do you have anything to add to this conversation?
No, not really.
How's your field day do?
Yeah, your video just cleared up a lot.
Yeah, I really did. I see Kevin's still here. Kevin was with us for field day, so that was nice of him to drive up. Appreciate that. And then,
Is he back home now?
yeah, he's wife's computer. You can see it's right there, upper right corner. And then Neil was on. Neil came and went, I guess, just Friday.
We saw him out there.
Yeah. So, yeah, Neil was at the 6NA site too, wasn't he? He didn't show up at our site, so doesn't care about us now. Yeah, W6SFM. He was Bob. He was out. That was really nice. And I traded him an antenna. I gave him a 6-element 2-meter Yagi, and he said he was going to bring over a what's it called? Ringo Ranger. A 6-meter antenna. So that'll be kind of nice. I've never had a vertical 6-meter antenna before, so I'll set that up somewhere. Put it on a pole on the side of the house or something. And I can talk to nobody.
Hard to find it. The actual thing is the only problem.
Yeah. So at least I'll be louder to all those nobodies that I'll be talking to. They'll hear me better.
If we get to Veterans Hospital,
Bob knows all about that.
yeah, they're up about 200 feet on top.
Part of the antenna installation crew.
Well, and they get 6 meters, Washington, Oregon, all the time. You said we have high.
Yeah. Well, Bob, NEA, he has some quads that he built. He had a 4-element quad, and then a 2-meter, or actually he had a 6 and a 4. Was it 6 and a 4 or 4 and a 2? Or it might have been a 6 and a 3. In any case, his quad, he said he was getting really good stuff, but it's been a little slow lately. I don't know if you've noticed, but the solar flux reached 96 yesterday.
94 today.
94
The
today.
record was high, we had 92 was high for the cycle so far.
Yeah, 96 is pretty amazing.
53,
Oh yeah. So the bands should be coming alive real soon here.
We're late review day, but you know.
Right. Now I believe that we had a total of 216 contacts for field days. Let's see if I can find that without causing too much havoc going on. What's that? Christmas.
And he's waiting for his power to get rebuilt.
Yeah, are you going to be ready for North American Tuesday? Yeah,
I started working on it yet.
you'll get there.
If they are going, this is weird, yeah.
Well, Mike will come out and help you.
Step by arm. Let's cash it out. We'll try it. See if we can get it rebuilt. Sitting around ground being put on show.
Okay, here we go. 217 contacts was our total. It was very low compared to other years. The bands were really good. We didn't have problems working the bands. Yeah, we didn't have any. Yeah, we didn't have any problems working the bands on both days. But I think I worked 15 meters. Yeah. So we did pretty well.
Were you running the vertical?
I ran the vertical for 15 meters and a little bit of 20, but then we switched over to the 80 meter vertically. That's always a better performer.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a problem setting up a vertical. It seemed pretty logical to have 2 antennas. As a matter of fact, it was a good thing because, in fact, what happened was we set up the vertical, we set up the inverted V, and I started on 15 meters on the vertical, and then Wilson came over with his KX2, and I said, okay, well, we would go to station with his KX2, and he could do some operating. And he couldn't hear anybody for the most part. It was pretty bad. So I knew something was wrong, and luckily Dave, K6CIF, he was out there with us, and he brought an antenna analyzer. So we looked up the antenna analyzer, and sure enough, the 80-meter antenna was just not resonant at all. So I think what might be going on is on the Ballon, the center pin of the SO239 is too big, and it's not making contact with the center pin.
That would cause.
Yeah, so Wilson went ahead and bent a piece of wire or something and put it in there, and we plugged that back in. And sure enough, with the analyzer, we could see that we were up the band a little bit. We were like a 36 something. So we just pulled out the ends. Kevin went out and pulled out one end, and Bob and Art pulled out the other end. And we got it down to about 35, 60 right in that area with about a 1 point, there's like a 1.4 to 1, but we were resonant, so we kind of cared how just we were. And then after that, Wilson disconnected, but we put it onto the KX3, and that's when I started operating with that antenna. And sure enough, the noise level dropped by at least 3 dB. And then we were hearing stations that we otherwise weren't hearing with the vertical. And I did A/B them, and in some cases, if the signal was weak, it would be like an S1 with the vertical, and it would be about an S4 with the.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, it's a big enough difference that I just
I think
stayed
we're
with
the
that.
forward, that's on 40,
On 40, we never used it on 40.
no, that's where it works, yeah.
Oh, you think? Well, this is not my experience.
You had an S1
I know.
noise level on a vertical.
But if you think we're good tonight,
No, I'm saying, yeah. It was, the signal was an S. I was
I was gonna say, how did you do that?
No. The noise level though was very low. The K index was zero. It was 4, and the A index was 0. So the bands were
What's a K?
K index for the solar report, meaning the noise, the magnetic noise. It was very low. It was almost no noise at all, as far as atmospheric noise.
So I could get rid of switch mode power supply, maybe they know about the other noise sources.
Well, we have a switch mode supply, and we don't have any noise from the supply at all.
Everything in here is switch mode supply.
Yeah, but our noise level, I think we were like maybe an S3. It wasn't.
Really?
Oh, it was great. It was very good.
That's impressive.
Yeah, we don't have noise problem. When that inverted V is in the middle of nothing on that field, there isn't even any sodium lights out there. So we have a really good noise floor for the most of the night. And of course, when you run the filters properly, you don't really hear the noise floor anyway.
right.
But yeah, so I was very satisfied. As a matter of fact, this is a testament to how good it was. The first maybe 5 hours, I forgot the little speakers, the external speakers, and we were working off of the KX3 speaker.
Which is
But it was good enough that we were able to work. I had no problem working off of it.
Nobody's talking.
Yeah, okay, true.
Those radios have really low internal noise too,
Yeah,
as much as I need to. Crap, have to do things here too.
yeah, there's a few.
They're good. They
make great hats also.
There you go.
Yeah, they're really good at pricing too.
Yeah.
They make good money.
When they're able to build stuff.
They're building, supply and demand, how you can price that. Keep the supply down. But, in any case, so Field Day did pretty well. I think we were doing all right. Again, we had 5 4U on the air, and we were given them plenty of time to go as slow as they wanted to go. So I'd say we ate up at least 8 hours of time with them just CQing and not really, pulling in one contact every 2 minutes. They were out at maybe one contact every 5.
Well, I think there's also a benefit in not having a second station where the speed demons are over there doing 25 to 35.
Yeah.
And then they are therefore intimidated and not interested in walking up to a key.
Yeah, I
think that works really, really well.
I agree. And I also think that the one station, we do normally do 2 stations this year, but if we did 1 station as opposed to 2.
We haven't done two in a while.
No, we did 2 every time. This is the first year we've ever done 1.
Yep, first time.
One, the second one's idle most of the time.
Last year.
Yeah.
What do we do last year?
Well, last year was at my house, it was 1.
It was one, yeah.
So technically last year was the
Plus.
first year.
Plus the others that did it from home.
Yeah, and then we had remote operating. Exactly, that was allowed.
You stimulated a lot of interest in Zoom.
Yeah.
Which is always great.
Yeah, field day is not about contest and scoring points. For me, it's about showing the public, and that's why I always choose a public location. Even when we first started the club, I guess that was like a year before you joined. We were out at that Goldie Park on the other side of the river. And, it was a beautiful location for doing what we were doing, super quiet.
It was, really, yeah.
But,
Secluded.
to me, the point was to be where the public could access us.
Robert, I showed up that month.
Yeah, you and Rob showed up.
That's something right there.
Yeah,
That's what
not
Jack did, Chris.
But we didn't have any guests. We didn't have any guests that were, from the.
Yeah,
general
nobody
public.
happens by that.
Yeah, nobody happens by where we were because we were like deep into the forest off of the river. So, and it was a Boy Scout campsite that was only rented to large parties, but Mark was able to get it for us because he came up with $1 million liability plan that they needed. So and he said it was going to be a family reunion, so they kind of were like, okay, now he said we're going to be 30 people at the family reunion, we got $1 million coverage, and they're like, okay, there you go. So they gave it to us. But the next year, I thought, it was a nice place, but I want to be in public because I want the people to be able to find us and see ham radio. So John and I scouted out W6SFM's place at Gibbon Ranch?
Gibson Ranch.
Gibson Ranch, yeah. Were you at the Gibson Ranch?
It's a range.
No. So, so for the second year, we went to Gibson Ranch where we were right in the middle of the corral where everybody could see us off the lake, and we had lots of people coming. And then, of course, the next year, that's when the church offered us the lot in the back, and we stuck with that because that oak tree sure is nice, isn't it? It was 104 degrees out, and under that oak tree, I swear, it was about 80 degrees. So it was very comfortable, especially when the breeze was blowing.
Can we put an eye hook in the tree somewhere and a hook? Or would that be not fair to an oak tree?
I don't think they would know or care. So the answer to your question is, yes, come on out when you got the time.
Put the
Get
eye
that
hook
done.
in.
But the problem is, you can lift it up, but you're not going to get to that outer edge. You see, you could. Well, I suppose
we could get your center thing up there, but how do you get the elements out is the question, right?
Yeah, if we could take the bow and hook it up to the rope on the pulley and then walk it out from the branches, but we'll never get a clear path through the branches pulling that out.
Yeah.
Because when you start hoisting it up, it's got to come up from the side. It can't come up from the middle.
Kind of idea, I don't know if it'll work out, but really quick, if you put 3 eyelets up there, you might be able to string up something secondary to pull all the elements through, get the center thing up, and then.
Well, one thing we could do is we could take a line with a weight, throw it over the tree, bring it in, tie it up, and then the next year
Have it there.
just have it there.
Technically, that's not the spirit of the deal.
No, it's
You're
not.
not supposed to have anything.
Right, we're supposed to, the whole idea is get on the air.
I'm not gonna report it.
No, I don't, I think that since there's nothing connected to it, it might not be,
Not the spirit.
maybe not.
Have you had a tennis ball?
But yeah, we had the launcher.
David's launcher is great.
Yeah, David's launcher was pretty amazing. If you want to see what that launcher looks like,
I built one.
Oh, you have the pneumatic launcher? See, I'd love to get a pneumatic launcher, if you want.
I mean, if you wanna send it up in the air 70 feet, no problem.
Yeah, well, his launcher was pretty nice, it's a pole with a giant slingshot on it, it's like a 6-foot pole. But, and it worked, it was a little bit tight at first because he just bought it. But,
His weight's too big too.
yeah, and his weight is much too big. Wilson was able to shoot that thing over the tree.
He's young and strong.
Yeah, he was young and strong. So, but Bob does loan us his tennis ball, wrist rocket launcher. And, unfortunately, he just got to the age where the tubes were no longer good. Every time I pull on it, it snapped the tube, and then I tie it, and then try it again, and snap in a different place.
Sounds like a way to use a muzzle.
So, we'll replace the tubes.
Use it for 5 minutes, work on 2 hours.
Yeah, right, so we'll replace the tubes, that's not a problem. But, if we could get a pneumatic, if you wanna build us a pneumatic, we'll be happy to pay for the parts.
I've been there, I've done it.
So, the wrist rocket and the full launcher.
I actually have Eddie's,
You did?
potato, Mr. Valley.
Yeah. Well, you know, Norton was gonna build us one. He said he was gonna do it, he never did. Because, well, you know what? That's not an excuse, Mike. That should be done, right? It should have been done. You could not fit that in before his death, really? He had at least a week. I think it was that. It was like field day, wasn't it? He died like 3 days before field day.
You know, it's so self-centered. Well, thank Evans, he only died once.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna come back, maybe.
I read something funny the other day, but I think it was Rose or something, like, go over to everybody's funerals, because they want to go to yours.
That's a good one. No, Norm was a great guy, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of things that I wish that I had taken him up on, but I have a hard time saying yes to
Where do you
them.
plan on that?
But, you know, he had offered me to incorporate the club, and that was something I really should have taken him up on, because when it comes to the bank accounts, that makes a big difference. And unfortunately, the problem we were having at the time was we didn't have the funds to pay for the incorporation every year. So we were, you know, our funds were not high enough, we didn't have enough income. So, all right, I don't want to yak on too long. Norm was a great guy, and I do appreciate everything that he did for the club, or at least offered it to us. So, Norm, if you want to know who he is, if you never met him, go on the website. Yes, we do have a website. And under the members section, he's in the special SK area that I made, and you click on there, and there's a picture of him. I think he's working on Gene's antenna on his rooftop down in Elk Grove. So if you want to see what Norm looks like, he's up there on the roof working on Gene's antenna. He's always there to help everybody with anything they need help with. Great guy. So, all right, I'll tell you what, I asked everybody to bring their own drink because getting the ice, having to clean the kitchen and sanitize everything is getting a little old for me. I've been here 3 times today, cleaned that kitchen twice. So,
Don't do that.
no, well, I have to do it, but for the 3rd time, I was done. So, in any case, but there are some snacks there if you want to grab a snack. Phil, do you want to do that tonight or want to do it next time? I see.
It won't take very long, it's pretty quick.
Okay, so Phil has a little presentation for us on a triplexer, I guess is what it's called, right? Yeah. So the concept obviously is 1 radio, 3 radios, 1 antenna, and he'll show us that. I've got you looking up already here.
I can't remember how to do this first.
So there you go. Is that a laser pointer or what do you got? Oh, I'm
This
flashes already. Oh, for your pointer. Good thing I brought we got us a little hub for USB.
You run out of ports?
Oh yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things going right now. So we're actually
Let me know when you got it in there, let's see if this thing works.
got it in. See if it works.
back in 2015, I got down to Pacificon, and I'm sure most of you have been to Pacificon, our West Coast convention, and somebody brings in a big trailer-mounted tower. In those days, they were running a KT-34A 4-element beam on top of it, and I thought that's kind of cool. And then you walk around the corner, and they had all these stations running. So there's the beam next to one of these emergency vehicles communications van. And if you look at that thing, let's see if I can push this button. Oh, there's a laser, but there's boxes right up here, straight up. Those are actually bandpass filters. The laser's not going to do such a good job. And they're fan cool. You know, they were running, I think, 500 watts a station. And I thought, that's kind of cool. How do they get all those working on one antenna? And so, get forward. What's going on there? Laser. Would you advance to the next one?
Kids.
Did it hang out?
Oh, well, it's over amateur radio association, so that's.
Because you know you had Zoom pop in there.
Yeah, I was trying to see, but that was the last time I used it. The problem is, trying to figure out, it's because I've got everything broadcast, and I can't switch between them. Can you try your thing again?
Got a little quicker.
Nope. Working, maybe it's,
Be a triplexer for.
yeah.
I think he's got more than
Try it
triplex.
again.
That's not it. You should be able to do
I
it.
can't, I just tried and I can't do it.
Can you restart it?
How about that?
Oh, there you go. Well, anyway, got to looking at DX Engineering. They sell these things. There's a triplexer in the upper left-hand corner, and then there's a filter for each of the 3 bands. And it was about $800, $700.
Yeah,
for all of them.
678.
And I thought that was a little bit too much money for the club. So
Yeah.
why don't you click it once more? And I got to looking in the ARRL handbook. There's a CD-ROM that comes with it, CD player. And they talk about this triplexer and a company called IRAD that builds these triplexers. And inside that article, if you click that again, that there's a detail of the circuitry. It's just a series resonance circuit, and the antenna comes in one end of it, and then the individual bands are in the other. I thought, well, that looks pretty simple. Well, look at it again. So I took a little breadboard, put it together, wound up some little torrents, and you can't see it from back here, but the capacitors, the little surface mount capacitors, and I got some triggers in there. And lo and behold, it looked like a jumper. That makes sense. Let's try this. Click it again. So I built up a board. Sort of looked like I was down at Winchell's Donuts, that one with little wrinkles, sprinkles on it, yeah. So anyhow, I built up that triplexer and tuned the triplexer, and do you see on either end there's kind of the wire that's shaped like a candy cane?
Yep.
Tuning these filters is extremely critical. So you can get standard value capacitors, but I mean, you've got you need resolution down to 2 or 3 picofarads to get these filters tuned properly. And so I came as close as I could with a selection of capacitors, and then I built gimmick capacitors. That's what those are, is gimmick capacitors. And I got that baby tuned right in. So click that clicker.
Well, before I go, what's the difference between the ones that you did on that little breadboard style, those capacitors, and the capacitors you use here?
Well, this one's good for about 200 watts, and the one on
okay.
Actually, more than that, but
Sure.
that's the difference. So anyway, after you get the triplexer, now you have to have the bandpass filters. And here's an article that talks about bandpass filters. This guy did a really great job of this design. These are mesh network filters. Click the clicker. And in there he shows you, see the lower set of inductors, those are quadrifer wound toroids. And then the upper filters that are across, there's just a standard toroid. And these are equally sensitive to how you do it. So if you'll click that clicker, there is a 20-meter quadrifer wound input and output. That's what's on either end, and in the middle of the two series wound inductors. And I think in that one you can probably see in the middle that I also used one of those gimmick capacitors to get this tin. So click it one more time.
Was it those zip ties holding the windings together?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll see on the right-hand side is the triplexer, and then I've got 10, 15, and 20 meter filter elements. One more click. And I put it in a great big box. And here's the big box, and you break your arm to try and do it. There's a lot of stuff in there. Click it one more time. You're going to have to read that.
All right, so transmit band is 20, the receive band is 15.
And the thing that's important here is, if you're on 20 meters, you don't want to be hearing 15. If you're on 15, you don't want to be hearing 10.
So that's the
And so that
dB.
isolation that I have up there is how many dB worth of isolation.
Oh, okay, so
And in the right-hand
yeah.
column, I give you how many watts from the other band are getting into your band.
okay.
So read the top one. It's
Yeah,
20
so
meters.
20 meters listening on 15 is down 63 dB
Right.
at a 0.00005 watt input to the 20 meter.
So that's half a that's
Less,
0.05 milliwatt.
right?
That's not much gets through, so that's
No.
pretty good. And I have 20
Next
and 10,
is
right?
20 with 10 meter listening is all the way down at 79 below and only quadruple 41, so almost nothing.
Just nothing.
15 meters listening on 10 is down 46 dB with a quarter milliwatt. And then 15 listening on 10 is down 48 dB with about 1 milliwatt. And then we've got 10 meters listening on 15 meters is down 32. So we're letting in about 60 milliwatts.
Right, and that's the problem, John, right there. Go on.
And then finally, 10 meters listening on 20 meter band is down 68 dB, so we're back to almost nothing on the input. We're a tenth of a milliwatt. So even 10 listening on 15 with a half a milliwatt, that's still,
It's nothing.
I think that's still like maybe a S2 or something.
Well, you'd never hear it.
I might hear a little pump.
The only thing that happens when those signals are there is it desenses your receiver.
Right, I was going to say, you'll hear a little pump.
And you probably wouldn't even hear that.
No?
So that in this case, the only thing that I came up with is that the 15 meter band, if somebody's on 10, we'll throw another one of those little bandpass filters and see if it would.
Oh, right.
It's a non-issue.
Did you check to see how it affects the SWR at all?
It's extremely close.
It is, okay.
But again, had I not used those gimmick capacitors, I spent a lot of time doing those filters. They're spot on.
Could you have done the same with the variable cap that you just kind of?
You need capacitors capable of at least 800 volts.
Oh, okay, so yeah, that's ceramic.
So there's a lot of ways of approaching problems. Those boards that I laid out originally, I laid them out to use what are called MLCC, surface mount capacitors, multi-layer ceramic capacitors. The problem is you need very tight tolerances, and you never quite know exactly what you want you're going to need. And I was pricing this up. I started this in 2015, by the way. And I laid out the boards back then, and at that point, the club did not have a tri-band beam that we were using, so I just kind of threw it back burner. This year, we're gonna use a beam. So I got to digging into this thing. I'd have spent hundreds of dollars building an inventory of these little MLCC capacitors to do this. I just wasn't gonna do that. So go to the next slide.
Yeah. Here there is a next slide.
So the 800 volts, what's the requirement there for ISWR in case it happens? Or?
No, it has nothing. The SWR is just reflective power. You can't get me to the last slide. That's the best part of the story. Well, the bottom line here, I'll tell you what it is. Remember, it was like $700 to buy those things. I spent $42.40 building those prototype boards, and I actually made a spare set of boards.
How many hours did you put into it?
We don't want to talk about
That's
that.
$800 in hours.
The toroids, the core toroids was another, for whatever reason, it came out exactly $42.40. I used silver mica capacitors, and those of you who've been around for a while know that that was the finest capacitor you could use for RF applications.
Yep.
I was down at the Silicon Valley swap meet one point, and a guy was just blowing out. There must have been 10 pounds of it in my box. And, you know, on my slide I show I paid $20 for those capacitors.
Yeah.
I don't think I paid. And so I still got a bag about this big, not counting the ones I've got sorted in a cabinet. And I think I got like 24 drawers broken down. And each drawer is overflowing. So I have a lot of capacitors to work with. And then that box, that magic box, I put down that I paid $5 for it. I think I paid $2. I never knew what I was going to do with it until I finished those filters. So the long and the short of it is I got like $110 wrapped up in that triplexer. And it is spot on. However, our beam wasn't.
Did mix the traps up, do you think?
I'm sorry?
You think they mixed the traps up?
I don't know if it did. I mean, those kinds of things, you just kind of have to go back to one step and go all the way through and figure out what happened. That's weird.
I know, I'm like.
Now that I've been down that.
But
the bottom line is, this is something.
I'll get it, I'm just trying to figure out why. I'm broadcasting on 2 different places and a Zoom meeting.
I could have
so
spent
much
mine
going
out
on.
back there, but in any event, these things work like a charm. You can use that with your vertical. It's a trap antenna. You can use it with a beam. You can use it with a hex beam. In fact, I think the club needs to buy a hex beam.
You know what, I had thought about it, but I don't know that I can store any more in my garage.
Well, that box is.
Well, no, the box isn't big, it's not that, it's the storage of another antenna.
Well, a hex beam, I don't think takes that much. It's sort of like one of those camping chairs, you know, just two fiberglass sticks.
I kind of joked with Michael over the field day. I said, well, we probably use storage equipment or storage unit.
Yeah.
That'll cost more than your meetings.
Yeah,
Right
well.
here.
But it's cheaper than its cost.
Yeah.
It might save the cost of it before.
Maybe we find a container that will fill all the trainers.
Yeah.
So anyway, this stuff can be done, and it works
Well,
pretty well.
I'll read it here because at least if I can't show it, I can read it. The printed circuit boards were 4240. The toroids were 4240. The capacitors at the swap meet were 20. The enclosure is $5. So the total of the entire bill is $109.80 and 400 gray hairs.
Yeah.
But it works.
Yeah.
So which radios are connected to it?
We never connected it.
Oh, you never used it at all?
the meat would only work on 10 meters.
Oh, boy.
There's no point.
Oh, I see.
Well, and you know, the other thing about it is you do lose power when you run this thing through there. And I measured the dB loss on each of these bands with the combination of the filters and the triplexers. Worst case was 1.4 dB.
Tom W, was it WCS? He had a 40 inverted V, or was it a?
He had an 80-meter loop.
Oh, loop.
He had an 80-meter loop that, for whatever reason, he couldn't get to work.
Couldn't that have worked if you're?
Well, it worked on 80 meters. Well, no, this isn't designed for 80.
Don't you get 10 and 20 on the loop?
No.
No? Okay.
You're talking about a wire horizontal.
Well,
very similar on each one of them.
I thought you might, it's a part harmonies, right?
But it's not a 50 ohm load.
any filter, any RF filter, practically any RF filter, is typically designed for impedance equivalent. If you deviate from 50 performance of filters, suffers, and its limits suffer greatly. So, you know, you try and stay within that design.
What kind of loop are you talking about?
Oh, is that what?
Horizontal loop, delta loop, any of these little coaxial things?
Or was it Marty that had it?
I put up a 40-meter inverted V and a 20-meter W8JK 2-element lead. And Marty put up a 40-meter, Marty and Tom put up a 40-meter inverted V. Has that flexible pole. And I don't know what that did. I know the inverted V I had up came in at 1.08 to 1.
Did you have to pull out the slide, put it in a different slide?
No, I had to just figure out where I was broadcasting and where
You think that's a big enough box?
Most people don't even know why they call it slideshow.
What's that?
I think it's a perfect size for the box.
Yeah. But most people,
Got a big pine and.
These are all slide projectors.
30 and younger, wouldn't have to have that.
With a big drum.
Oh, that's too new.
You have to have it, drop it in, and push it back, and it comes out the backside.
That was a slideshow, yeah.
Okay.
Go over to Uncle Bob.
We have
See the vacation slides.
say it's a Yagi,
Right.
and the Yagi is set into 40 meters.
Come on, man.
And you're
This
trying
is
to
what
replicate
this
this projector, that was right before.
Oh, okay.
This is for 10, 15, and you.
Okay, so you have an antenna, so you have an antenna that will handle
Those three
There's a
things.
big old fan on it to blow
Yeah,
on.
so-
And you see, Bob's got a step IR.
1,000 watt.
Yes.
We could
But
have
step IR,
Oh, no, because you can't have multiple.
because
bands.
step IR, it's not a
Not independent circuits.
antenna simultaneously.
But
You set it.
if you had a triple stack, so
Your tower will like that.
we could use the band pass.
It'll fall over.
Do it all over
real
again.
quickly.
Yeah.
And with these, gimmick passers, you just kind of twist things so you get it right.
No, it's a fixed capacitor.
No, what I did to build these is I actually used some trimmer capacitors. And I worked with my network analyzer to get the bandpass and the insertion loss optimal. Then I measured the value of those trimmers. And then I used fixed capacitors to get as close as I could. And then I added the gimmick capacitors on it.
You just got your little open your.
I'm seeing gimmick capacitors, is that where you have, like, is that where you just twist a little
Yeah,
more, twist a little less?
yeah, that's right.
Good.
When you
You
get
go,
it right.
oh, it's just good punch.
Put wax on there to hold them down, and that's really
Yeah, right.
No, it's solid wire.
Yeah, it's a
And
great
actually,
box.
I'm sorry.
It's a great box. If we had a hex speed, yeah, that would be a great,
In other words,
it's really nice to have.
it's an art at least as much as the science.
The only
No,
problem.
it's all science.
It's
Well,
all.
what I'm saying is to get those gimmick capacitors where they
It's,
need to be.
it's science and effort.
There.
Yeah, there you go. I would
But
say
that's
that
something
that's a
you're
great
gonna read.
idea.
It's something you're gonna do.
It's a great idea for a club, but we would never run 3 stations.
Why do you say never?
Okay, when I'm not the one having to organize everything, you guys run 3 stations.
You have a club?
Right.
Well, you're not here.
You know, we have a website too, by the way.
Well, by that time.
Most people don't know about that.
And a class.
And a class.
Can I borrow your oscillator?
No.
Now listen, it's a great idea, and I would love to have that. I would just love to have the band pass filters.
Yeah.
Two stations. We built our own band pass, we built our own band pass filters for, using all,
5, 6 years ago.
using all ceramic capacitors, and we did air core wound transformers. And, you know, it wasn't the greatest. It worked, but it wasn't the greatest.
Look at it, we're gonna get to it, but-
Yeah, we didn't really have it.
Well, tuning them requires some effort, and it's fairly critical.
Yeah.
I also built a 20 and a 40 foot band pass filter for the CW station.
Yeah.
Again, torics. And, you know, just open construction in a little bud box. And again, getting those tweaked just right is a challenge. And sometimes what you do is you actually spread the turns on the core.
Yeah, that's what we ended up doing with the wire, even in the air core.
But that's where you use like a nano DNA,
Yeah,
because they'll dial you right in.
yeah. Well, the new AA2000 has an LCR on it, so you can literally go right on top of it and do inductance and capacitance in L, tangent, and Q. So, no, I'm just saying that that new analyzer has the ability to do L, tangent, and Q for capacitors and inductors.
It
Right.
measures Q. How accurate?
It's pretty accurate. I mean, the problem is, well, you have to calibrate it because it depends where your jig is. If you're putting your jig over here and you have a coax cable going to it, then you have to do an open load short calibration.
For Q?
Yeah. Yeah, works great. You're welcome. Try it.
You know, Boonton years back had the absolute best. The 260 Boonton Q meter was the laboratory standard.
Yeah.
And they had these inductors that were the standard inductors. I'm still looking to find one of those.
Right.
So I have one of those Boonton meters. Measuring Q is incredibly difficult.
No, I know. I used to do it all the time. That was part of the things I did was get the Q the same on multiple components in order to install them in the same device. But yeah, it's definitely something that it does. It has Q, tangent, and L for both inductance and capacitance. You can either make something to connect right to the top of the connector where you have like a 2-pin header and plug it right into the 2-pin header on an end connector, or you can calibrate out on a circuit board and do all your measurements through a coax cable on a test kit.
You know, it's funny, when I was building the band test filters, I did them on a piece of phenolic printed circuit board stock. And then I put the circuit board stock inside of the enclosure. And the thing just went nuts.
Yeah.
And the reason it did is because that phenolic material makes a really good full loss capacitor.
Yeah, I know. Full loss.
And it was unbelievable how bad it was.
Yeah.
And then when I was building these filters, I told you I used those trimmers, and I measured the insertion loss, got it minimal. When I went to these silver mica capacitors, the insertion loss dropped to 1/3
Oh,
of what it was with those little trimmers. And that's all about the Q of the capacitor.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Phil. Appreciate it. And I'll just grab that for
I'm gonna get
next year.
Yes, I'm gonna get my little clicker thingy.
Oh,
that
you,
doesn't work.
I thought you were doing it. I don't hold on to that. Why don't you just give me the remote? I'll try the garage too.
Figure out what's wrong with that $1 million computer.
I've got it up there, eventually. I realized what it was. There's just too many things going on. Currently, we're broadcasting on YouTube. We're running a Zoom meeting. We're trying to get both the cameras onto the Zoom meeting and onto YouTube at the same time, and the audio. And then,
This is exclusive.
yeah, so this is too much. broadcast to the card, then YouTube, to be able to see that we have some guests coming. And it smells, nice.
You grab that.
So if anybody wants to try it, there it is. And the other thing I have.
Yeah, it's
It's actually key, it emits the smell.
The other thing is just a CW Morris pocket paddle. Some of you may have seen these already.
Yeah.
And all I did was I just ordered to carry when I go flying to my location down in San Juan. I really I don't like very much the KX3 paddle.
Right.
And I wanted something light because I want to carry a heavy venture. So this, I saw this guy, Thomas Witherspoon on the YouTube, and for, I think it's K4SWL, he does a lot of videos about parks on the air and stuff, and this is the one that he really likes. So I decided I'd go for it, and I set the weight for this. It was only like $30-something bucks.
Now that doesn't have the pushing, you can't push it into the box, right? It's called. And the paddles they don't have ground on them, they're just a straight paddle. And then you can push on them and it will actually slide back into the stick and be flushed.
Something on Ambic part that's inserted.
Right.
No, there is no Ambic on that. Because that's an old pier that I built from QST back in 1976.
That's the
And it was not iambic.
Didn't figure that part out.
No, it was designed for a single
So
paddle.
turn that way. That's your volume control.
That's really nice.
It's an air freshener, it lets more stink out.
Yeah, that's your air freshener volume control. It's how much.
That was really
Yeah,
clever.
if you leave that air freshener in there and put the board on top of it, because I potted the board so that it wouldn't get shorted out. But if you put it on top of the air freshener, as the air is pushing out. That's right. Yeah. So, but that was a clever idea. It does fit right in there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Did you eyeball that one?
Just enough space to get a little air underneath the speaker so it moves.
The Dollar Tree was the eye.
You know what? I would almost use this with glass. It sounds good enough.
Yeah, it does.
And I could
Make your own sheet. Sounds a lot better than that MFJ.
It's not a 555 tank.
This is what I used to supply.
Mine is.
The air freshener.
Throw it in front.
What kind of key is that?
Oh, this looks like a Speed X or something. But it actually sounds so much better in that air freshener. And the volume control is really nice. It's very clever.
Very good.
So this is what I'm using out there. Yeah, so when I go for a
Adjust it
travel,
so
I
it
do
smells
this.
like lemon.
That's how I use mine. Mine's iambic because it's the radio, not this. Yeah. This is probably feels a little nicer just because the paddle's bigger. Mine is literally about the size of that right there. One of the connector, unlike yours where it's got a 3.5 mil connector, on mine it's like this little 4-pin header. So you have to have the special 4-pin header to mini connector, and then because when you push it in, the 4-pin header goes flush with the back into the middle. So that way you can pull the header off and on. I haven't had a problem with it, but I do like the idea. I suppose I could always take the 4-pin header off and put on the 3.5 mil connector.
You notice I wired that for the right paddle to the dashes.
Yeah.
So if you know how to send with a bug, this goes the same way as a bug.
Right, I noticed that, yeah.
I know some people think it's wired reverse because they learn on electronic here that it has the right paddle for the dots, you know, and then they let it sit.
I didn't know they did that.
Yeah.
Southern Hemisphere.
Maybe.
If you degauss it, it'll be actually the way it should be. Just run the degausser over it.
Well, if you turn the whole thing upside down, you can do it.
Right.
What do you learn?
But then you're 12 hours out of sync.
That's
Yeah.
critical. That's a good point.
Show off.
Yeah, but it's not saying anything.
I just want to know if your dinner was good in the parking lot.
It was McDonald's, so
Oh, it wasn't.
it's consistent. No guesswork involved, you know what you're gonna get.
Well, thank you for that. That was, fun to see that. I was really interested to see that paddle and feel it, because I've seen it before. And I think that little pong paddle that I have is like 60 or 80 bucks. It's ridiculously high price compared to that. I didn't know that's a plastic box on the outside, right?
Yeah, it's all plastic. Yeah, it's all
She said it's 3D
3D
printed.
printed.
Oh, it's printing printing.
Everything is 3D printed,
Oh,
except the
okay.
screws.
They don't make a single lever, do they?
I think we do.
Like, yeah, I think I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, brought in some bugs. There you go.
Someone on that side of the table was interested in practicing a bug for bug roundup. To discuss some of the easier ones to use and also more affordable, so I brought a center from Minnesota.
Yep.
Peter Johnson and Steve X. That's a 1950 model. These relatively cheap, easy to use.
Yep.
This one's kind of fun because it's a belt. I put a double base on it. So if you're careful, you can lift it out.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's really thick.
So I saw one of these at KPH back in the back room from a guy that actually used it on a ship, and that's why he doubled it. So that was kind of fun.
You're gonna put this oscillator on it?
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Yeah, Johnson, does that have the big weight with the little metal
Yeah, just a little clip.
Yeah.
But someone else was supposed to bring the bug.
James brought it.
Yeah, and I brought an extra weight. This one has 2 weights on it. It's slow.
Does anybody sell the E.F. Johnson weights?
So,
I've never seen one for sale.
so that's fairly slow for a bug.
It's about 15. Yeah.
That's good for a bug.
Yeah, that's game to go down.
Yeah. And that's just it looks like a,
Champion.
it is a champion, yeah. I was gonna say it's either lightning or a champion, but.
So,
I'm dating myself.
I didn't hear you stutter.
Well, did you hear the multiple T's at the front?
that's true.
Yeah, it sounds good. And so the height, what's the difference on the marine?
Listen, it's just 2 bases. It's 2.
No, I know, but I mean, why?
Why is that one?
Yeah, what's the point?
Your ship's doing this.
So it's not the height, it's for the weight.
Yes, wait.
I
It's the
see.
mass. Can you pull it? No, it's copyrighted.
Excuse me?
Mustn't sound good.
And on that E.F. Johnson, what's the difference between that and the 501T? Because it looks, I can't really see.
Different
it, but-
finish, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely black.
There's so many of them there where they were going back and forth.
Is that-
Speed X and Johnson.
It has the handle, the T on it, right? But just it's a flat T. I
Yeah.
can't really see from this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, no, it's not. It's kind of like the lightning where it has the triangle on top.
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like a little triangle.
Yeah.
Look like the play. This is actually damn heavy.
Yeah, I bet it is. I mean, that's got to weigh about 6 pounds right now. Yeah, I think the normal one weighs, what, 3.2 pounds or something, so that would be about 6 pounds.
That is a lot of weight.
Might have been easier just to drill a hole in the table and screw it down.
Yeah, except everyone took a whip. I thought you always
Take the whole ship.
You're all about this way.
That's an excuse to take the shit.
Operator sets it up to the people.
Yeah. No, very personal.
You gotta start all over again.
Well, KPH, if you remember, they had a rack there and everyone had their buggy.
Yeah.
In around in
That's
there.
not coming,
Yeah.
that's not enough for a clip like
Oh, yeah,
that.
Night of Nights is coming up.
Yeah. Is he gonna open the place?
Not really.
Did you get the email?
I got the email, it sounds like only selected
Sounds
people.
like just the.
No visitors, but operators. They're
And they're limited.
Well,
Yeah, limited operators, no visitors, but they're gonna be on the air. That's what I got.
Right.
Feel compared to the one down below you.
The operators, I guess, are the volunteers.
Yeah, this sounds like different deal.
You have to have a commercial license too, because they're
Yeah.
operating on commercial frequencies.
Normally, I don't think they do.
Well, they do both. They
Yeah.
said they were gonna be on,
So do I just slide this or do I have to pull up the clip? I've never, in order to slide.
you press the clip into the weight.
Yeah.
Slide. Into the weight, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Isn't that fast? For the size of it, you don't expect it to do that.
Yeah, that's really nice.
That's a nice condition one too.
Yeah, it
That's
is. It's
beautiful.
really in great condition. Right over the top of it. That one's just no, it's a, what do you say, 128?
What's that?
Model 128 or 128?
It's on the,
Oh,
the tug in there.
Oh, no,
So
114.
You can do that.
Yeah, that's in really nice condition,
Yeah.
but I didn't expect anything. Are we gonna see it back there? Yeah, the finger pieces. The finger pieces have that rounded.
Yeah, that's
Kind of weird.
pretty unusual, yeah.
like a lightning in a way.
Yeah, has that, right, has the triangle with the rounded edges. They rounded the edges on the triangle.
Yeah, I like them. I think they're real nice. Oh, real nice.
Yeah, you push down.
You don't need to go to the gym now.
People are telling me about.
Correct. Right. That's the first time I've ever used that. I don't know that I can use those fingers.
Yeah, it's hard to even find an 18. But I mean, you can always weight them down.
Sure. All of us can get campers, they're like that. Oh, did you get it?
I did. I
Did
picked
they
it
have
up.
it at the store?
I picked it up today. They had two in stock, and I bought one. And I haven't taken it out of the box.
Now, what you need to get is the berry weight. The berry speed. It's a little bar,
Well,
take
that's
weight,
what I have to
take
use.
weight off of the pendulum arm, and then you put it on this little bar that connects to the pendulum arm.
Okay.
And then what you do is the weight, you can now move the weight back and forth. And what this is gonna give you the ability to do is actually lean the weight past the damper so that you can slow down even farther than if you were at the
Get more leverage out of it.
damper.
So, is that an accessory how to get
It's
it?
an accessory. It's
From
about
Harbor
30
Freight?
bucks.
Yeah, from Viber.
Yeah.
I get it. They didn't have it there. Press spot.
Well, it's not Viber
When
Flex
you
cost.
go to, you can't do
So,
that.
it's called a aerial something?
Ferry weight.
Send it over. Ferry weight? Like P-A-R-I,
If you go to the.
Then on the other end of the trailer, you go get it.
You go to, vibroflex.com, I think it's under the.
There is, you know,
All right, well, I'm gonna probably try to get out of here and that's up.
Yeah, it's time. So, all right, I made it. I made it before Mike got.
I got 3, man, this is ground.
Although I will say, thankfully, I wrote my doctor. The doctor said that he wants to do all kinds of useless tests on me to get my copay, and then he will consider it. So we'll see.
Yeah, Calvin's is sure good. I like them.
Yeah, and the thing is, I looked at her page and it says accepting referrals.
Oh, good.
So yeah, so it means that I can actually go.
Well, she's keeping me alive, so.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's a good reference.
Yeah. And
I've been seeing it for 6 years.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yes, as soon as they noticed, I had a murmur, they went straight to her and said, you got a valve that's going bad. And I replaced it, for 6 years.
But you know, the
Going in,
and
annually,
there's so.
and then every 6 months.